What up? Welcome back. I'm your host, Drea. Yeah. Thanks for listening. Today's episode is going to be about the documentary. You can find it on YouTube, Third Eye Spies. All the documentaries I'm putting in this podcast series, I'm going to have to do off YouTube because I want to make them accessible to everyone. And that's the easiest place to go find them while they're still available. I'm not going to go too far on the intro about what this is about, but it correlates with psychic abilities and the knowledge that psychic abilities exist within all human beings and the ways in which that information is slowly being drip released, but also being withheld at the same time, and why. So let's get into it. Let it be documented and well explored that what happens with intuitive capabilities is well known. I mean, more well known than we're at least put onto. It's constantly called a pseudoscience. And the further we get into quantum physics, the more you just can't deny that psychic abilities are possible, that people's ability to be intuitive and be connected to others in the source is what is actually happening. It's intangible because it's a personal, individual experience. It can't be explained by any measurements outside of oneself. Let's get into it. Okay, so in this documentary, what they outline is how during the 50s, 60s, 70s, prior to, they were really aware of how they could use remote viewing, which is a form of psychic telepathy, if you will, to be able to figure out where things were that we didn't have surveillance intelligence to locate. They had done this a bunch of times. President Jimmy Carter is the reason why they stopped funding it. And if you ask me, there's some level of this documentary where it just goes to show you they're going to put it out like a press release. This documentary felt like a press release. Like, you're not getting a full, raw, indie perspective on things. You're getting as much of like a packaged outline as you can of how the events took place and some weird circumstances that also took place with these events. I think it's important to bring together the concept that there is heightened awareness that is, air quotes, confidential from what you're allowed to understand about your own abilities. That's fucking crazy. Why is that even possible? Like, why is it possible to be able to hide from people what they are capable of? Oh, because it poses a threat to the current state of reality. If you really think about it, everybody understood that they had the kind of manifesting power. They could reshape the way that things look based on the things that they want. They wouldn't have to stay stuck in this kind of sphere that's been designed for them. No one's going to break the whole of reality, if you ask me. It's a really good packaged machine. What's going to be done is the ability to elevate oneself through the collective as the collective continues to move towards a group think. Because at this current stage, it's gotten really easy to create like people who are curious enough to stay informed by the media, but not curious enough to ask any additional questions about anything that they've been told. They want to be informed. They don't perceive that looking in any other direction is going to give them factual data. That couldn't be further from the truth, but that's how the public-based perception is going to go. So that's why I say you're not going to like break public-based perception. You're not going to be able to break big media machines. But if you start reacting and responding to the world differently, people around you will then be affected. You can't avoid it. I tell these stories with a lot of openness because it's an easier way for me to therapeutically kind of release some level of the experience. And I appreciate just being able to share it in a space that is of my own energy. Okay, so if you listen to the series before the Exit the Matrix series, it's the Love Lies series. On the Tragic Comedies and Trajectories episode, I went over how my son's dad died from a heroin overdose. Now, I also went over how I'm the one who found him. That morning, before I went to work, I sat down and I attempted to connect with him in this way. I sat down, I tried to breathe, and I attempted to remote view with him. Let me just tell you, when I got done with that, I knew he was dead. So I still had to get up, go to work, pretend like everything was okay. When I got done with that, I don't even know how to explain it to you other than the kind of kickback I got when I tried. Like, I sat down, I tried to get in his zone, and I tried to see if I could, get connected into him. And boom, it bounced me back. And my son's dad is one of the people that I'd always been able to connect with on a pretty regular basis. Even after we broke up, I very much could kind of pick up on his vibes. And so there were certain days when I would just send him encouragement, knowing I just picked up on his vibe that day, and then he would, send me some back, and then vice versa. He had the same kind of energy with me. Very much a emotional friendship connection in a real way. But when I watched this documentary, it reminded me pretty heavily of that moment where I realized, in the event that you had to go through a space where you could not connect with people, you did not have a phone, you did not have the internet, you did not have access to anything, this is an opportunity where you can understand that people are beacons, and you can connect with people that you care about. You can send them the right energy, you can receive the right energy, you can receive responses, you can communicate in dreams. There's actually all sorts of very cool things that you can do beyond time space that you're intertwined with. And these are the most beautiful parts of the awakening. They're the most beautiful parts of what's actually moving right now in terms of energy fields. If you have the capability to sit down, process information, the stuff that we're unpacking step by step with these documentaries, then you're already in tune with your own psyche and your own intuition. And so I felt it necessary to share this story because it was one of the most profound. Once I was done, I was really overloaded emotionally. And to me, I very much understand how this process works now because of that. And I stay out of people's brains. You don't walk around trying to just remote connect into people's brains who have not given you permission to be there. And I imagine that there's some level of nanotech evolution that's going to try and capitalize on this very thing that we discuss right here. So that's part of another reason why I would like you to pick up that little gem I just said in that last sentence and run with it. Because things are shifting right now on a very, very subtle but pretty conspicuous basis, if you're able to decipher, disseminate, and read between the lines. I kind of pulled this documentary out of the ether because I had a couple of other ones I was watching that were geared around propaganda. I felt like this was a necessary one to throw in front of those because it's going to give everyone has the capability to connect with this space and this realm in a real way. So to kind of give a breakdown, we discussed how the corporation owns, operates, creates, manufactures a certain level of perception in society, a certain level of growth and development. Starts from grade school. Grade school is geared around helping you become a good employee in a corporation. If you're not a good employee in a corporation, grade school is geared around helping you prepare for what prison would be like. So you got your 3 squares, you fucking listen to the bells ring, you follow suit with the direction you need to go. So that's why there's a school to prison pipeline in place, because there really is a space here where if you fuck up at school, the chances that you're likely to get in trouble and be a rebel and end up in jail go up exponentially, especially for boys. So corporation kind of sets up that model to gear society towards being able to be good worker bees and stay in that realm of thought. Go be a good worker bee, get your credit, get married, buy a house, stay in your house, work your job for 20 years. Thankfully, that's shifting up a lot. People are realizing that old model is not going to work anymore because as we grow, we have to evolve and expand how we manage to measure out what the future holds. Kymatica pulled it back in with helping you understand how not only are you a sentient, aware being, but you're a sentient, aware being with all sorts of different senses that are constantly being bombarded and overloaded. So you're at a space where you get to make a choice. Which direction would you like to go? Do you want to thrive in this plane of existence? or are you going to be someone who is in a constant state of survival? Then we went into What the Bleep, which breaks down quantum physics, looks at your overall perception, breaks down how you can model your reality based on the ways that you're perceiving things, and also the decisions that you make to entertain those thoughts or to switch up gears when you catch yourself, when you notice you're in that kind of thought stream. Moving from What the Bleep, we just went to An Open Secret. This one exposes a handful of different people in Hollywood, but this is really just a systemic problem. So to me, this was a good documentary to make an example out of how there's a serious problem with exploiting children. There is a huge problem exploiting children and young people. That counts, because some of these 18, 19-year-olds really aren't full-ass adults. And so the level of exploitation that's really going on in order to maintain a machine that fabricates a reality that's not real is insane. So An Open Secret really puts us onto this fake standard of beauty, this fake ideology that we're going to look a certain way because it's actually ran by weirdos. And we need to just start investing in independent people rather than big, crazy corporations that make big box movies that exploit people, right? So then we get into this documentary, Third Eye Spies. What it's really breaking down at the core of it is like, oh, hey, here's the kind of crooked shit the CIA did to try to squash the fact that they knew they were using psychics to do things for them, like remote viewing, finding airplanes and shit in the middle of African jungles. But they're going to squash every story that ever says this stuff's factual. Every time they come down to it, they're going to say there's a leak somewhere. We know there's a leak somewhere. It's a pseudoscience. And if you ask me, that is a perfect example of what's happening with quantum physics, is that people are having their own perspective reality. And in some people's realities, this shit doesn't exist. It really doesn't. It's beyond capacity of comprehension. It doesn't exist until it becomes common practice in the majority's reality. Once the majority has picked up on the idea, this is the 100th monkey, then the rest can actually have the capacity, because it's as if it elevates everyone's conscious awareness to the next level. In a nutshell, that's kind of what's happening right now, is this transition of conscious awareness, which has got you entertaining someone like myself talking about these kind of sequence stuff, is moving us all in a new direction of awareness of self. It's all about self-reflection. You're having an independent, interdependent, codependent, super profound experience and insperience, because something else is also happening internally that is also beyond comprehension for some. So this movie really pulls together how, in the sequence of everything, it comes back to, we know that everyone has the capability to do these abilities. Your ability to perceive, intuit, and be connected to people that you care about in the world around you it's beyond comprehension. Real talk, it's beyond comprehension. I feel confident that this documentary laid out a lot of good perspectives when it came to what people need to know about self. Because in the new form of reality, everybody understands their psychic ability. And that's coming. That's not very far off. In the next couple of years, you're going to see that this becomes way more of a known, and people are actually operating and doing functions out of it a lot more. This is why you see the market flooded with TikTok superstars who are doing card readings and getting paid for it. They're actually like making little side hustles out of this. I think that real spiritual demonstration and real spiritual connectivity goes beyond utensils, but utensils are a stepping stone in order to get to that true connectivity of self. All right, cool. So that's where we're at with that. I have seriously recorded this entire episode and had it done forever, and we're now running on the last minute because it was a hard decision to figure out what documentaries we were going to use or what pieces of work we were going to use for next week. So I've got two. One of them is called Programming the Nation. It's a documentary that can be found on YouTube. That's You search it, the title's in all capital locks. Programming the Nation. The other one is a lecture by a man named Jeremy Rifkin. There's more to this lecture, but I think it's a really, really solid outline that literally was published like 3 years ago. So as you listen to it, you're going to understand a lot more about what's going on right now. So the body of work by him is called The Third Industrial Revolution. You can also find it on YouTube. It's about an hour and 40 minutes, and it's just a lecture of him kind of walking through current state of affairs when it comes to the internet and what industrial revolution is taking place right now. There's also a fourth industrial revolution, but we're not going to get into that just yet because you have to understand the third one. And the fourth one will become a lot more evident, a lot more clear. You got to like slowly unpack the boxes. So you don't have to watch both. You can watch one or you can watch the other. Bonus points if you do watch both, because they're both extremely valuable to the nature of what we're doing by trying to exit the matrix as a conscious being. So I hope you appreciate and enjoy them as much as I do. And I look forward to chopping it up with you about them next week.